right, so let us start off with our call to order. First off, Alderman Mike Barber. Here. Steve Bobowski. Here. Barb.
Here.
Got a quorum. That's it. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Welcome, everybody. All right. So, citizen comment period. Please be recognized. Do I have a motion to move? And second.
Closed. Citizen comment.
Yeah, all right. The minutes from August 26th.
Motion to approve the minutes.
And I will second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. All right, good. All right. Let's talk about our business appreciation celebration. So we've got down here first speaker suggestion and our speaker suggestion, and it appears that we have only one, and they've been approved, yes?
Yes.
You said yes?
Yep, Dale Kuyinga, who is the president of the Milwaukee Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce, has agreed to be our speaker in November 18th.
Nice.
Is when he's available.
And that is a Monday, correct?
That is a Monday.
Okay, I just wanted to make
Yep.
Okay.
Gotcha. Do we coach him as to what he's going to speak about?
Yes, and we probably should talk about that here. I said we'll discuss it at the meeting today, and but I said, basically, the standard staple is, what kind of opportunities and challenges are predominant in the greater Milwaukee market, and we'll give you some further instruction from the commission.
Can he get a little bit more specific as to Franklin?
Yeah.
And maybe we can feed him if he needs it.
Yeah, whatever you folks
I mean,
want.
it seems that Franklin will ban.
Yep, they're more specific.
Yeah, because that's kind of been the focus before, but we can help him too.
And if he can, since he's also kind of in charge of the M7, he could bring that in also, because that would certainly impact.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, anything else besides that? Just keep it.
No, do we have a time? How long do y'all want him to speak for?
Well, I told them 20 minutes to 30 minutes, and questions and answers 10 minutes. So I said 20 minutes, about 10 minutes for questions and answers. That's a half.
Okay. I think that's plenty.
Longer, shorter?
No, 20 is a good time. I mean, 30, 40 gets kind of old.
Right.
I don't know what he'd be saying. In the past, we passed out cards, so if people had questions, and then I went with the microphone. We didn't give them the microphone, just in case.
Right.
We've had a couple times with protesters.
If they hand in cards, you don't have to wander the audience anyways. You just read the question. Sort of.
But he's
that's true,
He's
too.
going to sort the question.
Yeah, that's true.
Or he's going to make them relevant to the.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and right, exactly. Depends on how they're phrased. Some got rephrased. Oh, okay. That gives a, and if not, we should probably come up with some of our own.
You've done a wonderful job in the past sorting that out.
Yeah. All right. So then we have some award nominations.
This is the list. You can have it in your packet as well of the award nominations that are before us that have been turned in. Everybody's response.
Are any of these leftovers from previous years who did not win? Can we just roll some over?
The only one I recognize is Crohn's, and they were a winner. And Karma was a winner last year.
So let's take them off.
That wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
And well, I think at one time our rule was you couldn't win within 5 years.
I think so.
Now, I went back into some of the ones that I submitted. I pulled mine, out of a combination of places. Not all of them are housed here in Franklin. I just looked them up this afternoon, so I don't think they should be in.
No, I don't think
I'm going to
so.
go back in and pull them out. So,
Which one's that?
well, let's see. The ones that are in for sure is Franklin Energy, Joburg Tool, and I believe Botman are real. I think Impro does a lot of business here and goes to the chamber thing. Sterling also does work here, not here. I think Kendall might be, might not. Pavlaki just does business here, so I would take all those out. The only three I got are Franklin, Joburg, Botman, maybe Kendall. I'll check.
We can, but Sterling is not.
No. So we can. So now I'm down to 3, maybe 4. Okay. Let me go down with the next one. Polly out, Kegel out.
Kegel's,
Kegel's
Kayla.
in, that's not here.
Yeah, Kayla out. Right.
That's on national.
Kegel's is,
Right. Right. So I got Polly out, Kegel out, Kayla's out. Olson, I believe, is in. Lannon in. Stark is in. Point After is in. And then Bright Cleaners is in. So we've got a decent enough list that we can vote on there.
What is Kayla's Cafe?
I should say they're out.
Oh, they're out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Then on the next page,
Sterling's out.
yeah, Sterling is out, and as is Wixon and Impro. We got one.
Oh,
In East Chocolate.
well, it is. Are they in operation? Niche chocolate?
I don't know them.
I don't think that they are.
They are.
Okay, so
So we could make a quick phone call right now. Yeah, they were waiting on their approval.
Still.
If they started, they were going to start with making powder. I would have to give them a quick call, and I don't have my.
Niche Chocolate.
Define innovation.
Well, first, we'd only have one at the moment. So either they're in or not. Now we need to come up with something.
Well,
Impro is not in.
would the definition of innovation preclude them from being in business, although they're coming here and they've chosen here? That
Innovation is coming up with new business approaches or new technology to grow and advance your business or the industry. Basically, they brought in partners from overseas. Innovation.
well, they're the first to come from where?
Got it.
Ghana.
Ghana. So that in itself is somewhat innovative.
Right. Kind of bringing an international spotlight onto Franklin.
Yeah.
Which is,
That's a positive.
I'm good with them. I mean, I thought it was pretty neat novel. I think they're.
and maybe even if they aren't in full production yet, they're here.
Yeah.
And they're committed to being here.
Yep.
So we don't have to judge them on their quality of chocolate.
Right.
Yeah, Niche has been in business for 3 years, more than 3 years in Milwaukee area. And have a presence. All the equipment. They are in full production. I cannot say they aren't doing it. But we could call Steve Wallace. Wanted to right now. And ask him.
Well, okay, we're about ready to vote, but I mean, I'm okay with them in.
I am too. Yeah.
Are you okay with them?
I am.
I'm okay with them in, but I'd like to know a little bit more about them if we're going to talk about them.
Yes.
You know, say
So-
why or how, if they're
Yeah.
near or what they're, what.
Well, I don't think we'd be embarrassed by putting them in as our
No, I
innovation
don't
guys.
either,
I don't
but
think so either.
So
Okay.
would you like me to check with Steve and see what their
just what
status
their
is and get back
status
to
is
you?
would be helpful.
Mhm.
It doesn't preclude them. I mean, I'm not saying we have to take them off. I'm saying keep them in, but just the background as to where they are when they come into
Yeah, I guess that would be our first choice.
yeah,
and-
the only choice.
We're gonna have to get right now. Otherwise, we're gonna have to go find a couple more.
In Pro Corporation's that in town?
No, they do business in town, but their headquarters is not. I think they're in
Hi,
Mosquito.
Tim.
Hi, Tim. Yes, we do.
Yeah. Hey, Tim. See ya.
We can move your stuff down there if you want.
Yeah.
I just put you up at the right hand of the chairman here. Because you're the chairman of ICE. And
That's right. I'll bring the cigarettes next time.
Okay.
Okay.
That's great, so, yeah.
Just all we're gonna do is check and confirm that they're real.
Yep.
And that works. And then in leadership, Forte has been in it before.
But haven't won.
I thought they did. Going back 3 years.
They would be
Yeah, I'm
longer
pretty
than
sure.
3.
And it might have been 5, in the 5.
They've been here for 5 years at least.
Yeah. I think their first year they won.
Take a look at.
Are they operational here? Brett?
Oh, very much so.
Very much so.
Yeah, they're doing at least 4 performances
Berta?
at the high school.
Oh, high school.
Yeah, two basically adult and 2 junior.
Okay. And what's the status of their HERDA? Aren't they buying the HERDA?
Well, they would like to, they just need money.
Oh, okay.
They're one of those things.
And what was the Tim O'Brien, Lori Ninso?
So Tim O'Brien, he did the program in concert with the high school,
Oh,
building houses, and they did the internship slash program where the kids actually learn how to build houses. I think they bring on 12 kids a year, and they've been pretty successful as part of it. So that's Tim O'Brien Homes, if you will, and then Lori, I believe she's the principal over there at Franklin High School.
so are they a nomination for
Yeah,
leadership?
yeah, the Tim O'Brien as well as, and I would,
O'Brien, they're not here though.
they build houses.
Yeah, but they don't have a patient office presence building houses.
Well, they've got a what do you call it, a trailer office. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm
I
just
mean, and so the point is, but they're doing,
high school.
I mean, they're spending a lot of money to support our kids, if you will.
So where are the houses that they build?
What is it, where they have the wings, they have a whole subdivision. Right off of Ryan Road, you take it, it's,
Aspen, Meadows?
no,
That's Jutes.
I go there for,
Lowry?
no. Right off of Ryan, you take a right down from my house. Well, okay, same as you come down. I want to say it's, so I want to maybe, I don't know the street. It's not the Turning Point, I don't believe, no. But they're known for their wings and that kind of stuff. But just further down, the whole subdivision of homes, and they've been building them over the past couple of years. And this has been a program that Tim O'Brien, yeah, and they'll put about as I understand, about a dozen kids through each year, teaching them all about construction. And it's a pretty cool program they do. So I guess that is the reason, because they're investing in our community.
So Fort Theater won in 2019.
Okay. So then they are winning from before.
And that would be 5 years.
2021, 22, 23, 24.
Okay.
So what's the name of the home speak?
Tim O'Brien Homes.
Lori is the high school principal.
She was. I don't know if she still is. I just thought that we do some pretty cool things at City Franklin High School. And I say that with having just been through a presentation on school MPS and how it's just not doing well. And you take and you say, well, and they just passed a referendum where $2,000 per kid in the city. We're getting $13,000 for ours here in Franklin, and yet our scores are substantially higher and just passing anybody. And so I guess I just is one of those like, well, gee, we're doing a pretty good job. I don't know that she's the principal anymore. She was, and I met her before, so that's how she got on that list.
We might want to also research, and I'm sure the principal would know, who in the high school is in charge of the carpentry or the industrial arts or whatever you want to call it. Because they have to be working with someone also.
Yeah.
Pretty hands-on in the high school.
Yeah.
So it can be kind of a group award.
Well, that's interesting. Sure. Why not make it the event? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because having been a high school teacher
Yeah.
You need to have somebody on the ground in the classroom, to make sure those kids are also doing what they need.
Yes.
That come under innovation,
That's interesting too.
leadership.
Well, innovation, we could put the high school
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Good
Um,
point.
second line.
Mhm.
Andy Thompson.
He's a community outreach.
You know,
Yeah, and he helped put the package together with Tim O'Brien Homes, but they do have a person who's in charge of
Yeah,
it.
they'd have to.
So, I mean, you can throw all of them in there
Mhm.
as a community event.
I can call Andy and get the, want to make that team.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be,
I think it's the team we're talking.
I think
yeah,
so
that'd
too.
be fine.
So, yeah, so a combination of Tim O'Brien Homes, Andy, and
The trades team.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. Yeah, a lot of people come and be part of that. That'd be
Mhm.
So do we want to kind of, I mean, so in the large, we've got three to choose from here. Botman, Joburg, and Franklin Energy.
And that's on the large.
Yeah.
Those are the three narrowed it down to?
Yeah, the others do business here, but don't have a
I
facility.
don't really know any of them, so I wouldn't have.
Family business, service.
Are they active in any of the other community events, like the 4th of July events, or contributing to anything else other than just being a successful company here?
Yeah. Trying to look in there.
You know any of them, Mike, or?
No. Franklin Energy isn't involved in the high school solar, is it?
Reseller, no.
What is Franklin Energy?
Oh, Franklin? I was here on Botman. Franklin Energy is located in Franklin. Franklin Energy located. So Franklin has a location. They've got one also in New Berlin. Well,
Franklin Energy
yeah, that's what I was seeing too.
out in,
New Berlin.
oh, they're out in New Berlin?
No, I don't know. I just found one in New Berlin. I don't.
Well, that's the one from
About
Cleveland.
Our story, our history. Founded in 1994, Franklin Energy. Say. Bottom, see. Yes. Here at 102 North Franklin Street, Fort Washington.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Franklin might be referring to Ben Franklin, not the city of.
Well, they're on Franklin Street.
Uh-huh.
But that's
However, wrong city.
Fort Washington.
We'll have contact. Oh, there's a big block. Contact.
About Silver Tool.
I'm looking on
Yep, it's
yeah.
Port Washington, Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Canon.
nice name.
Yeah. Oh, these are creative. They're over. That's how creative it is there.
Did you decide on a small
No,
We haven't gotten there.
Yeah.
or innovation?
No. Yeah, but there's a couple of them that have come off of that.
Right.
The only one left in innovation is niche.
Silberg Manufacturing Corporation, Industrial Drive, Heartland.
Okay.
We have no businesses in Franklin.
Carmen and Crohn's already won. a couple of
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
How long ago did Karma win? Or
Last year.
recent?
Last
It
year.
was just last year, okay.
It was
Oh,
Rich.
that's,
It was Rich Simonson under leadership.
oh,
That was, who was that? Leadership.
Simonson, Rich Simonson, you nominated him.
Ah,
Look at that. Nice. Silberg, Heartland, Franklin, Lockheed Kendall. Crohn's.
who has a directory of our business park and our corporate park? All the businesses there.
What's that?
Who has a directory of all of the businesses in our corporate park?
I was just wondering.
What's up? People got their windows open?
Left the whole thing open.
Is it raining?
Right
Yeah,
back.
yes, it is.
Is there
It's the
something I can
shower.
run out and do for you?
Pop up?
So based upon, we've got Crohn's, so we don't even have a large.
We must have a large, everything.
We do, it's just not out of this group. I looked up Bachman and.
Is Saputo in operation?
They won last
They
year.
won last year.
No.
No, they
won
were
last
nominated last year, but did not win. Karma Labs did.
But Saputo spoke.
year.
Oh,
Spoke.
but he spoke, that's right. Okay.
So we thank them this year.
See?
I think they're big and they did a nice job, so if they
Yeah.
didn't win.
I think they
And the
did.
reason we didn't win is because they weren't open yet,
Yes,
so we kicked them out for that reason.
right, just because they weren't in production.
Right.
yet. And I'm assuming they are by now.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right, well, I think that they should go on our list.
I think they're on the
We
list.
just found the large.
I think we do too. All right. So then in the small, we got,
Oh, that's it for Tim. The other thought about this.
I'm looking at last year's nomination. Sweet Basil, I believe, won. Correct.
Paul.
Mimosa, JB Lawn Care, Harry's, Ace Hardware, and Castleman Plumbing, and Rock Venture.
yeah,
Gaia Micro Spa is no longer open.
so as I'm looking at these here, got Stark, Point After, and Bright Cleaners.
Small.
Yep. So I crossed off Polly's, Kagos, Olson, Lannon, Kalis, which gives us Stark, Point After, and Bright.
What about who is Stark Yeager?
They're in
Yeah.
a tax accounting firm.
Accounting firm right on 76th Street,
Yeah.
Oh,
in the old Blockbuster building.
oh, the old Blockbuster. I should have done that.
Where is Bright Cleaners?
Bright Cleaners was want to say right next, they're right in the area of the Hallmark store or something.
Oh,
Then they relocated over to where the Quick Market is. They've been there I've been going there for years, and they've been here for a lot of years. It's a Korean family that owns it, and they've been doing my dry cleaning, except for one smudge once. There's no problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
But they've been doing my dry cleaning, and of course, we know what Bright the Point After is. They've been here a number of years.
Have they not been nominated?
I don't know.
They were nominated for the chamber, but not for.
yeah, they're not here, or they're not on last year's list.
No, they have, I don't believe we've ever nominated. I think my personal opinion. Master Cola, those guys all really participate in they're all well.
Okay.
And that's the Point After you're talking about, Tim? I guess I'm not sure, other than the fact that they've been a good business and people like them and they've served our community from that perspective. What else do they do in the community?
Dave Bartles is a buddy of mine from high school, so I mean,
okay.
I know him.
Yeah.
They're the ones that started up they didn't have a football program for high school, so they started that up on their own.
Okay.
I know he's well connected. A lot of kind of work with Daryl Malik. So like I said, they're just community beyond just run.
Okay.
So I really think they should be the one.
Well, the reason I put down Stark is they do a lot of business with folks from my Vistage business organization. They do a lot of business, right? And
Have they been here 3 years?
oh yeah, it's been longer than that.
Yeah.
In fact, like
It's old Keith Winters.
yeah, so it's like a
Yes.
They're
and,
in a different facility though.
and we do have history.
Yeah, they moved.
They were in the bank.
They're in the old. It used to be the old Blockbuster building. Bought that. We're just down, 2 doors over from where my office used to.
Well, I mean, we have, and part of the reason is we have history. You won this a couple of years ago, right? So
Yeah.
one of those
I
kinds
gotta
of
say this much, though. I mean,
what?
it sounds bad coming out of my mouth because of my competition, but they don't participate.
Okay.
Not nice to say, but
Okay.
and I've had. I'm not gonna say it.
Well, I'd like to nominate the Point After.
Those guys. I mean,
I would
like I
agree.
said, it's beyond just their business.
Now, does Bright Cleaners get like something to say that they were nominated or
No.
anything?
Oh
Yeah,
we do. We announced the
Everybody's a-
possibles, and the winner is. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Would they get something saying that they were nominated as a?
Yeah, they all get certificates. Yeah, with a frame on it.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Well, I would nominate the Point After then because that was one of my nominations.
Yeah. So do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done. So we got Saputo. We got Point After. We're going strong.
No, we do a nomination. Udo?
That's the only one left.
No, I
For
think
the large company. We just
do I have a?
you just had.
Yeah.
It's called
Consensus.
railroading.
Yeah, got it. And then we've got Niche,
That was
the
Barb's
Suman,
nomination.
and then we've got the group
Leadership.
of the Tim O'Brien
Yeah.
High School
Mm-hmm.
group.
Yeah, I would
Yep.
agree with that.
I like that.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay. Cranking, guys.
It wasn't even hard
Well,
once we figured out where you're located.
absolutely. All right, so now we got that part. Beautiful. So we got speaker, program proposal. What is,
Okay, so I was directed to come up with a more formal program, guide, if you will, for the event. And so what you have is a proposal on that. And so first thing is we can go out and get a proposal and go ahead and engage the company. And if you're liking this idea, then we can go along with this project and improve it, or I mean, look around some more. I can do that. But
I'm sorry. The request was for what and from whom?
to put together a program, a more formal program for the event. In
Oh,
other
a
words,
brochure.
In a
program.
brochure.
okay, brochure program.
Okay,
A
I'm thinking
program
what we're going to
brochure.
put together.
A program
opening.
guide. I know, I knew that was
Okay.
going to be a problem. The thing that you read on when
Yeah,
you decide, try to
okay,
decide
all right,
when you're going to go to the bar. when
Now I
you're
got the
gonna
vision better.
sit and listen, or when you're going to speak. Well, I'll give you a guide.
Yeah, right. Okay, so this is for the brochure, quote unquote.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
For the program.
Oh, okay.
So,
And we have a quote on that, which is
yep. Well,
600 to 800.
it's
Free.
1,300 total. If you take a look, it's going to be 300 for the compiling of it, and 800 for the printing of it, and then no, wait, I'm sorry, 169 for the printing of it, and then 1,800 for the layout and the digital work. 1,300 is the most. I estimated 160. Put that at
So I have 300, 169. And then what else? That's the
300, 169 is 169 is for actual printing to do the layout
Right.
and put it all together. The technical, like the publisher program type stuff.
Uh-huh.
Designed for fourfold with 8 panels.
Are we going to have enough information for 4 panels or 9
Well,
by
they've cut, if you
16?
take a look at it, it's a small page. I originally mentioned that, and we can work out how many panels.
Okay.
No, my original submission to them was, okay, let's do 4 panels, 8.5 by 11,
Mhm.
which it looks clunky. Looks kind of amateur. So they shrunk the pages, increased the number of panels to make it a little more attractive. I mean, typically when you go to these events and you get a program, it's not an 8.5 by 11.
No.
Here's your handout
Yes.
for more.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's what they did. I have content enough in there with photographs to
Okay.
take 4 pages.
Okay.
Again, they cut it basically in half. And they gave it some margins.
Okay.
And it's 4-color separation.
So
Does that include who the nominees and who the winners are? Is that a page?
Yes, it'll have all that.
well, we now the winner.
Yeah,
The winners will be announced.
That's the thing.
I gave them last year's
Okay.
card. Basically, that's what we had, is we had a table stand card.
So we need a little more background on niche, find out who the names are for high school
Right.
to fill in.
Mm-hmm.
We know Saputo, and we know,
John, I'm looking for the total package. I'm seeing the 600.
No, we don't.
800.
No, it's nice. It's 13. I don't see how.
All right, let's do some ciphering.
I have 300.
Stifle with me.
So, all right.
So I got 300 on copywriting, right?
Yes.
All right, and then the next page is between 600 and 800, and that's for the fourfold.
I have 1269 total.
Okay.
Okay.
300,
800 and 160.
for the concept development, and basically getting the layout to the designer. The designer puts it into the publisher program or whatever program they use, and they basically develop the digital imaging product document
I got it.
that they send to the
1269.
printer,
Yeah, I
and the
got it.
printer charges $169.
Okay, I got it now.
So that all comes up to $300, $800, and $169.
Yeah, no, I got it. Okay, I just looking for that one sheet which had it all in it. Did you get it? Just add them. I'm in.
John, I just have a question about some of the individuals who are referenced here. Who is Mary Christine? Is she the new contract?
She's a PR
person.
PR person.
Okay, with the city.
Yep.
And then this Megan Jenkins out of Richmond, Virginia.
Yep. Just submitted just relationship and contract.
Okay. And Mark Muzinski,
That's the city's printer.
and that's here. Oh, the city's.
City's, yeah, it's the
Got it.
city's printing company. The company the city does
Okay,
the printing contract
Okay.
with for the newsletter.
sure. Okay.
Do I have a motion?
So move,
Second.
proceed as
All
discussed.
right. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good to go.
Okay. So another document that we're working on is because we have some marketing dollars that we can utilize. We have a program or a project as an annual, a biannual report with Eric Brooks, and you're all familiar with Eric. He's done work with us and with the Tourism Commission before. And so he brought it up. We weren't ready to do anything like that last year. But we have had reports in the past that cover 2 years on activities of the Economic Development that have been submitted to the city. And again, they kind of look like that document, which is not what he would generate, of course. He did our economic development, our business development guide, as well as our sheets for our business parks. And so this would be something more along those lines, where we have photography and we have, descriptions of here. Well, to go over it, an introductory message from the mayor would be in this product. The actions program, essentially, the economic development has undertaken to drive, facilitate economic development. And then we'd have success stories like Saputo and Carmel Labs, and like developments at the Rock, which in the last 2 years is the Lux facility. And then some of the data and demographics that basically came from the business development guide, we would have that in there as well. But we would have a paragraph with each of these visuals, obviously with the photographs of like the Saputo building, describing what the project was and something about the company. And we would have that, all the accomplishments and what's been going on in the city as far as economic development in a color, professionally produced document. So I took him up on his vision. This is what he initially proposed to us.
So let's go back. So you said we do have money for this?
Right.
How much do we have?
Well, take a look at it.
The marketing services is 20. Is that out of that fund? Money?
Let's take a look. So it would be from marketing services, $20,000 there.
Okay. And right now, we haven't spent anything. Is that right?
That's next year's budget.
I'm looking at 2024.
2024.
It's 20,000.
Yep.
And I don't show anything against it. So 9 would leave us 11. Is there anything you've seen like this, what's cost in the city before?
Not with the city. And if you want to explore this some more, we can explore it.
No,
Get some more definition.
Well, I'd rather move ahead if we can, but I mean, is it reasonable? obviously I'd say 5 is reasonable, is 10, I don't know. I'm really only debating over $4,000. But does anybody else know anything, I mean, so far as, is this,
I have seen these done for communities, mostly through economic development corporations. We don't have one specifically for Franklin.
okay, so maybe I do want to put it off and see if we get some other, if it's in the game, I'm fine with these guys.
I guess what I'm looking for is that we go ahead and get approval to do this, to negotiate with someone. And
I would
see
agree
if
with
we
that.
can,
Yeah.
we can get some more definition on this.
Yeah, I think
Or just, you know, you can direct me to do that, and I can get some more definition from it, and get it laid out.
yes, do that, and I guess I just like the ability to say, you know what, we checked it out. We can just go with him, boom, done, take your money. Done.
Right.
Well, first off, do y'all agree that we should at least explore it? Can I have a motion? And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Are you okay over there, Tim?
I
Choking
got
a little bit.
something, So I
Yeah.
don't know.
Was it Tim that moved that?
He moved it, yeah. Tim.
Who seconded?
I think it was Mike, and
I
then
think so,
all in
'cause I
favor,
didn't.
we were all in favor.
Okay.
I'll just make one comment. The $9,000 is not the end number because that does not include printing.
Right.
Oh,
So
it does, yeah,
we
okay.
have to make sure we know that,
This is just generating the document.
yes.
Yeah, and that's what we did with the business development. And we
It'll be more
could
than nine.
require printing of it, but we can explore that.
And these- We could get, sorry, I thought it was in.
Other hard costs are not included.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right, the 2025 budget.
So we took, well, I've given you documentation that will go before the city. And so, you know, the economic development item number 641 is, this is what goes to the finance commission. And so explains what the organization, what the department does. And then the next page is kind of a history of activity, and the measurements that have been used there have been construction permits and, you know, the meetings that have been attended and the retention expansion visits that have been conducted and total equalized value. Well, we don't have those yet, which is the conundrum of, you know, city's budget process, which basically has to be done at the end of July when you've got a half a year. So, especially for a results-oriented kind of program like economic development, that's a lot of guessing and forecasting. But I can at least get forecasts because they're done every year by the inspection. So that'll come later. And again, the budget summary talks about, you know, what's been done and what we plan on doing. And so one of the things we're doing is doing strategic planning, which we're going to have the report in January. So that'll tell us a lot more about what our direction is, but what we can expect with the economic development strategic plan, we can categorize that as marketing services, which is business attraction and outreach, and other professional services, which is consultancy to assist with that and help promote the community, and then staff continues outreach at our Real Estate Developers Association events and through our retention visits, the Business Appreciation Celebration. So, if you take a look at the next page, this is the what we have for. This is what we have for the history of the budgets that we've had.
Okay, so if I can, tell me where I'm wrong. So we've grown from 2022, we were 37.4 to actual 23, 45, so we're up, give or take, 7, 8, and we went from 45 to 51. Other 6. Amended budget was 54, right? 54 versus plan. This was the final?
In 23.
Yeah, 23. And now we've
Right.
gone from 23, we're saying we're requesting 88. Yeah?
That's what we requested last
Am I
year.
good? Yeah. So, and we got this. We actually were here recommended by the
Well,
budget.
Well,
We're up to
yeah.
88.
Well, actually, I've got a mis- that should be the 25.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, okay. And we are down then based
Let
on,
me take a look.
Which, yeah,
Let me
which
take a
column
look.
is 25?
would be the mayor recommended budget.
Yeah, I've got,
Maybe.
Oh, that's for
yeah,
25.
I've got a 2025 in there, and it probably shouldn't be called mayor recommended budget. So I'm just
Whichever you
rewording
want, yeah. So we took a $8,000 reduction. That's coming from
Well, that's because,
business volunteer recognition.
well, no, we actually put some dollars back into that. The next page is our budget. Actually, I was correct. That was right. The mayor's budget was $80,000. Excuse me. That page was correct. You were at $80,750. I was requesting 88, and you're right. It was the business appreciation celebration. Yeah.
Okay. Well, because there was 11 in the second column there, when we're down to 5,
Yep.
so it's a 6.
Yep, yep, and that's working. That is correct.
But we still have 5 in there, though, right, for this year?
Well,
No, we have 11 for this year. 11.
That's requested
24.
for 5.
Read the 11s in here, 24. This is
right,
24
right. The mayor's budget reduced that to 5,000.
for 25.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's 24. That is
Oh, it is
24.
24.
Yep, I thought I was wrong before, but I was mistaken.
All right.
That is actually 24, the mayor's budget. Anyways, so that's what we ended up at, was $80,750 for activities. And the $5,000 that you see there is what the business appreciation celebration is budgeted for. Now, because we haven't had a lot of expenditures this year, we have the ability to take care of that.
And we'll add to it, because we've spent more than that in 22 and
Yeah, we can spend, yes, we can spend up to the $11,000, $10,000 that we have, because we haven't had the spending that
and
we
other
would
things.
forecast. So,
Okay, so at the end of 24, are we going to be at the 80? Or are we going to be
Yes.
less than that? Because this one over here said 2075. Next page.
well, take a look at the next page, 2024.
Yeah.
Says 8750, and that should be the same number as what the mayor's budget was, correct?
Yeah.
Yep,
All right, yeah.
8750. So,
Okay.
so because we don't have some expenses identified, like the strategic planning services, we don't have those planned in there. I've reduced that, but this community or this communications consultancy, if you want to add that in separately,
Was it 9?
well,
The 9 we just saw?
no. It's going to be a consultancy, having someone on board to do the PR, to work with getting press releases out. That's what the request was. Now, I can either try to do that through the other professional services and marketing services, but if it's something separate that in addition what you want, in addition to our marketing service, add 5,000. But looking at, again, not having the expenses outlined because we aren't there yet with planning, I thought maybe we'll just pull that from other professional services. But if we feel strongly that we need to make sure that we have the dollars in there, and we would be working with that lady, with Mary Christine.
Yeah.
And that would be the person that we work with. We would have to do a contract to do those services.
I recommend we put more in.
So if you added
And-
the
and-
5,250,
78.
it would be the 80,075. That is
Yeah.
the last year's budget.
Yep. You can always give back.
Yep.
It's hard to get it.
Yeah, it'd be the 87.
Yep. Y'all agree?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
That line item becomes 5,500 then?
Pardon?
That becomes 5,500
An additional 5,500.
to bring it up to the 8750.
Well, if we just add 5,000
No,
to
he said he wants to do
75,
it 5,500. That way it takes it to 8,000.
okay. Right now we have 75, oh, right, 75,250, right, yes, it was.
So
Yes,
it's
five-
5,500.
5,500 would take it up to last year's budget.
Okay, we're not increasing it, we're staying the same.
Right, yep. I can put that in.
All right. So does that cover that item? Budget? All right.
Pending any earthquakes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sitting here in August, I think that's a pretty good projection for 2025.
So that I will need a motion.
All right. Can I get a motion to recommend 8750?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All in favor. Okay, number 7. Economic development update, strategic planning. Did we just cover that? Or we got more? We got it, yes.
We did that. You got this page right here in there in your.
I know, I
in your
just smiled.
packet.
I said, yes, okay. Like a drum roll. No, but wait, there's more. Yes, exactly.
I just wanted to direct them so they follow along with you and said, say, okay, tell us all about it. You got.
Yeah.
Can we hold that over till next meeting?
Well, you can, but I may not be here, so.
You don't by chance have that up there, do you? So we throw it up on there on the wall? Never mind, we can go this way.
The survey, I mean,
Yeah, whatever you're gonna cover.
do you have it, John?
Don't make it hard. If it's hard, don't worry about it.
No,
Where else?
It's part of the agenda.
Oh,
We
yeah,
just,
it's right here, right?
We have the hard copy.
Yeah,
in front
I'm
of
saying
us.
if it's
But
easy.
she
I
probably-
have it here to put notes in, because if we want to make any sort of edits to it, I want to go ahead and make edits.
Yeah.
So,
they've got it in hard copy.
You
You've
got
got
it.
it on your.
You got
what, so what I'll do is that I'll go ahead and I'll make some edits, and then I'll submit a final copy to you, so I can
Okay.
clean it up a little bit, because I may need to tweak wording a little bit.
Sure. Done. So let's use the hard copies we got.
Okay.
Right.
So if I may, just to give you a little bit of preface on what it is that you're looking at.
Yep.
So I had come in before and we had talked a little bit about what kinds of things the survey should cover. So based on that, then I have developed the survey. One of the things that you will note is that I started out with only one demographic question at the beginning and everything else is at the end. Why? Because people will, the minute they see a bunch of demographic questions, sometimes they're out. So let's get them into kind of the meat of the survey first. Let them go ahead and answer that before we get into the demographic questions. I would much rather have them answer the questions we really need the answers to rather than the demographic questions. So in here, there are some things, we can just kind of go through and tackle this one by one. I just saw actually one, the first question should actually have in there none of the above. I just realized that's not in my statute, but that should be there. So we are going to be sending this to residents, but it is possible that it would go to somebody who was not a resident. What John and I had talked about was distribution method. We had talked about sending a postcard. Ideally, we're going to get the best survey response if we get it directly in the mail and into people's hands. So we've talked about doing a postcard for that reason, to really be able to get community on this survey. The good news is that compared to other surveys that we could do, economic development is than a lot of other surveys. So I'm hoping to get I would be happy with just an idea. I would be happy with 500. That would be a really. We may need to do a little bit of pushing on social media and some other things, but the administrator had said open to kind of working too with the community. So just kind of letting people know that it's in the mail. We'll have it open for about 4 weeks. That's kind of best practice. This is actually a good time to be sending out in September because otherwise we're competing with vacations and kids going back to school, all of the rest of that. So having it go out in September is just a really good time. From a timing perspective, is a good time. So
Now, will we have responses by the time we have our economic development gala event?
That's in November, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just in case the mayor wanted to say what we just completed.
Absolutely.
Surveyors.
And so what I can actually, so if we do this kind of targeting September, and I don't see any why we can't, I should be able to, depending on the date of your meeting in October, I should be able to turn around for you some results for that, so you could actually include that. What I generally do when I get results is I will actually do a presentation that I then turn over to you.
Okay.
So,
I'm not sure he wants to, but it would be nice.
yeah,
I
no,
think
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
So just to kind of go through, we've got that, again, that first question. So the second question is, and this is part of what I'm doing with this, is trying to make sure that we're starting with some questions that are interesting people to answer, because that will kind of keep them going through the day. People always like to imagine what they could have if they don't have right now, which is why I've got the second question here. Now, have I missed anything? I've gotten just some really very broad categories. The other thing to note, if you look, I have got in those parentheses there, that is a scale. So it's called a multiple choice grid question. It's super easy to answer because once you know what the scale looks like, it's super easy for you just to pop through. My goal is for a survey like this to take no more than 6 days. People will give us that much of their time and not any.
So you've got the nomenclature, which is very important, somewhat important, neither important or unimportant, somewhat unimportant, very unimportant, as opposed to 1 to 5.
Yes, because what is the difference between a 4 and a 5? Generally, it is helpful if you actually give people.
So this is a little bit more meaty.
Yes. Yes. It helps people understand what is the difference between, is a 3 neutral or is a 3,
Yeah.
it's, I like to use the actual words. It helps people to make a more informed and get answers faster. We want them to give them us meaningful data, but we also want them to not leave because they're tired of it.
Yeah. Okay.
So I have put in here, based on some research that I did on Franklin and some things that I have, and just some industry kind of standard stuff. But at the same time, though, there's also some things that I am not going to, I'm not in Franklin, that we may want to include. And there may be some things in here where, like, yeah, we don't want to ask about that. We just want to leave that one alone. So I don't know if there is anything in here that kind of fits in either one of those categories. I also do have that other please specified. So we would have that as an ability for people to.
From a standpoint of categories here, like for instance, sports recreation, what does that mean to the person filling this out? And we got ball fields, but if you're saying semi-pro, quote, like the Rock, that's a different kind. They're very different to me.
Yep.
But you're the survey person.
Yep. So here's the thing: is that we are really kind of going with very general categories, and so there's always, and so one of the questions is going to be at the end. Anything else? Any other comments that you wish to add? And what we're going to hear is something like, "I wasn't sure how to answer this question because what is it?" But the more detailed we get, the longer the survey is, the more time it takes them to. So we try to do kind of general categories. If there is a better way, however, that you think will resonate more with the community, let's edit it.
Okay. And, okay, so to me, like, for instance, small retail, big box retail, I get it, but I'm not sure that everybody understands.
Those are pretty standard.
For who?
Well, I do a lot of community.
Yeah.
The bulk of what I do is I do community service with. So we can certainly go through, if you would like to, we could add examples of what kinds of businesses. So under big box
Perfect.
businesses, we could do something like Menards, whatever.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And then I would say that we probably would be okay to put a gas/convenience. Just think in my corner, almost across the street from you there, Tim, where they got the dilapidated Citgo. And he's like, yeah, I'm in. I'm okay with the gas there too. But I am thinking like the one on Sundance and Hell's Corners.
Okay.
Cool.
So I've added gas/convenience.
That's under number 7. Type of businesses we're looking for.
Oh, is it? I don't even get to
I don't
there
know.
yet.
That would be the one that isn't covered here, I think you mentioned.
Yeah, and so it
That would be
is.
the additional or.
Yeah, and we
clarification.
do give people an opportunity, again, they can put under the other, if there's something they want to.
It's like a write-in vote on an election. Thing.
Well,
Well, it gives us some
So let's just put it
direction.
in. So the gas food.
oh, yes, no, and
okay.
I do have that in there, I
Yeah.
have gas/convenience, store in there, but under the other, we will, there are certain stores that people are gonna be like, if only we had this, it'd be amazing, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times it's a Cooper's Hawk, Trader Joe's, people have got to think, like, everything
Yeah.
would just be wonderful if only we
Yeah.
had this here, right?
Okay.
We might as well ask them because they're going to tell us at some point
Sure.
anyway. And at least if we put it here in this question, then we've kind of given them the box where it
Okay.
is.
Under K and tourism, you have a question about, we can specify what kind of tourism.
Yes.
Are you referring to like day visits or overnight visits?
So we can do either one or both. If there are particular things that you want to go ahead and put in there, again, every community is a little bit different. And so that's the reason why I have in there that we can specify if there are specific things that you know that you either do or do not want to target for the community. You do have the chance to narrow that down. Or we can just leave it very generally tourism.
I don't know what tourism.
Overnight stays,
Okay.
the heads and beds. I'm
Yes.
speaking now from the tourism.
No, I'm with you. I'm with
Yes.
you. Yeah. So I agree. That would be helpful, though. I mean,
Yes,
if somebody just comes into town and leaves, I mean, you could be going to the ball game.
that's right. Or bird watching, or going to the conservancy,
Yeah.
or
Yes.
going to someplace else,
Yes.
to a play or restaurant.
But
So-
there's some sort of destination
Yes.
here that is bringing people from
But-
other places.
Right.
But all that would come onto this one right now, the way we just defined it.
Correct.
We wouldn't get any real insights into beds.
So how's that different from hospital?
So that, if you look at that, that is specifically having to do with lodging. Is the examples anyway they're there. And again, we can go through and we can tweak them a little bit.
Be an actual. Do we want to bring in more hotels? Park's talking about the people
This is
who
where they're
stay in
gonna
the hotels.
That's where they're gonna stay with tourism, but do we need more of those?
Okay.
Or we can put down, we can modify tourism a little bit and say something like
Tourism attractions.
tours or
That's one.
points of interest. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. This is why I'm not going to give you the final copy tonight because I'm just a little bit.
Tim, you were going to add something?
Well, I'm still confused on tourism versus hospitality.
Yes.
Oh, we said
Tourism,
lodging.
what I'm thinking of it is,
Attractions.
we got the world's biggest truck stop, or whatever. And it just
Yes.
it's what brings people.
Breakfast Plymouth, Wisconsin, they are the cheese capital.
Correct.
Okay, but would you, I guess I'm agreeing with you, which is with attractions, would that work better, tourism attractions?
Well, it's the way I'm interpreting.
Yeah, I'm
it.
with you. Yeah, but I mean, we want to get something that's useful to go out
My
and
thought
find.
on the subject is, other than the Rock, we don't really have any tourist.
Right, but this is here saying, what should we go at?
But what should we try to recruit is what the question
Right.
is.
By the way, we may not want, a big cheese head in the middle of our,
Well,
city.
my personal opinion is I'd leave it out.
We don't want rock
I
concerts.
don't want.
Well, but I would like us to at least find out, no, we don't want that here. Because we might not speak on behalf of the rest of the world.
Okay.
I'm just-
my bad.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, these are all one words. I'm thinking like maybe construction firms here, tourism activities or attractions. Another word to kind of focus or narrow it on some of these. High-tech companies,
Okay.
sports and recreation. Are we talking facilities? Are we talking activity? I mean, just something to kind of narrow it a little bit more. Each word. you're
So
gonna-
just know that the more we narrow it, that then we are
Yeah.
excluding some other
Right.
thing,
But
which
I
is
don't know
fine.
I don't know what construction be. Do they want more construction in
Or
Franklin?
road construction.
Do they want more construction
Yeah.
type firms?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess why I agree in the sense that we can get closer to what we go recruit.
Mhm.
And I guess our best guess is, like he was just saying, so construction firms.
And some of these, so some of the stuff that you guys are looking at right now are actually construction. Some of these I grabbed from just some industry standard
Yeah.
types of things. But again, that's part of the reason why we're having the conversation. So I have no problem if we want to say construction companies,
Yeah.
something like that.
Firms,
Yep, firms, I'm totally fine with doing that.
high-tech companies,
Yeah,
manufacturing.
firms I just put in.
Okay. Restaurants, I think your suggestion, which was, might tell us what kind of restaurants, or I mean, it could be fast food as well, or is it sit-down restaurant?
So I actually have got a question a little bit further down where I'd like to explore restaurants a little bit more. But we
Yes.
can also put it in, here. I just want to do it. How much do you think that people are going to want to talk about restaurants?
A lot.
Okay, because it looks like you guys have got some here, but it looks like they're kind of spread out from what.
In Franklin, I don't want to call it fine dining, but do we have mid-tier? We don't have like a,
Don't have Outback.
we don't even have that. No,
Right,
let's
but
go to
that's-
the
but
upper
that's
end.
mid- But that's.
Yeah, that'd be
that's
mid-tier, we don't have, but so I would be interested.
So I
Like
would.
fine dining.
Yeah, I would almost prefer, because restaurants is something that people tend to be pretty passionate about, I would almost prefer to make that to really kind of explore that, because rather than trying to put more in here, I would almost prefer to make the restaurant out, and then to do something like what kinds of restaurants like to see in Franklin, fast food, casual dining. We can define those that. Does that sound reasonable?
No.
Okay.
And here's why.
Okay.
I guess in this one here, I could get a ranking as to what they're most passionate.
Okay.
And if I have restaurants in here, oh, that's the biggest. On the other hand, maybe it doesn't count. Oh, you know what? But I really would like us to have these other things. That would say to this group here, go get them.
Yep.
Restaurants, we can wait another couple of years. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
no,
all.
let me clarify. I would leave just restaurants, but I wouldn't clarify in this question. Fine dining, casual dining. I wouldn't break that out necessarily here. I might break that out as a separate.
Yeah, I think that
I'm
would
still not with you.
So I would leave this restaurants
Oh,
here
I got
just
that.
like it is, and then I would have a second question. What types of restaurants would you like to see more of?
Question 3 instead of what it is right now, that would be the question, and question 3 becomes question 4. Just makes
Yeah.
another question.
I would just add a question specifically about restaurants, because I think restaurants, what is it that families want? I'm working now and actually what they want is they want family friendly, right? So that is something very different from very different from like a bar and grill. I probably would want to explore restaurants in a little bit more detail because there's so many different options.
Okay, I guess I'm concerned that it might get a high inflated number, more so than it really. So if you had everybody says, yeah, we want more fast food, but if in reality is, oh, we really want some mid-tier dining, that's different than the bigger one, because I threw fast food in there too.
So
Because I'm looking for a rank order here, which is what should we be going after first, second, third, fourth, fifth, kind of.
Yeah, no. And what I would do is with that question I would probably do another multi-choice spread. How important, how much would you like to have these types of restaurants? Something like that, where people can indicate how desirable having these additional types of restaurants would be. So you're not just getting a yes or a no, but you are getting that more information.
You guys good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let me, Mike.
My thought on it is, okay, we get 400 responses, right? Question. 200 say they want restaurants as high priority. Well, go to the next question she's putting in there. It's like, what?
Yeah, and if all of that 200 all said fast food, then it was fast food.
Right.
Or as opposed to, Hey Alexander's or something like that.
You need people at 400 that say they want restaurants.
Is ribs a
Like,
category?
well, not worried about it.
I think
Absolutely.
I'm hearing the suggestion it should be its own category.
Yeah, okay.
So basically what happened is that we are in that larger list, overall importance as compared to all of these other things, but then with its own question out of the category of restaurants. What
Or what kind of restaurants would you support?
It really, at the end of the day, because if you put them in and they go under, that's
Right.
And where would they be willing to spend their money
Uh-huh.
in terms of restaurant?
Uh-huh.
That's a different kind of a commitment.
okay.
Yep.
That seems to be covered under question 5.
So that is, yes. So that we can, and now I've kind of screwed up my, just added one. Restaurants are one of those things that I think that people are particularly passionate about. I don't think asking about that in is necessarily a bad thing because that tends to be a religious. So one of the things that we can do is also gauge how interested people are in eating. Is there a particular area where they are already free restaurants? We can ask what kinds of current restaurants they are currently eating at. There's several different ways that we can do that, but what I find is restaurants tends to be one of those things. Nobody is neutral on it. And so I think that this is a logical place. I think that for you guys too, in terms of business attraction, it will be very helpful if you say, we did this survey and what we know is that right now people are not free restaurants. They really back this high. That then will really help if you are trying to attract.
I'm going to jump ahead to, you just mentioned 5. That's the next place I have in question because I don't really know what goes in 5. But other than that, I don't have anything.
So if we can, there's a couple of things up here, just a little bit I want to draw your attention to based on the conversation I was here last time. I have 2 questions in here on financial incentives. They are under, I messed up. It would be under 3, and it is G and H. One of the questions was, what is important is bringing jobs, and kind of how do people feel about TIF districts. So I've tried to define both of those so that they are very understandable.
How does that help us?
So if you are going to do financial incentives, it gives you an idea whether you're getting some signal from the community as to whether it would then to.
So you can raise my taxes? Is the question.
A TID,
In which case the answer is no.
a
Well,
TID
it doesn't raise your
does
taxes.
not raise your taxes.
But that's how I'm reading it if I'm a
okay.
normal layperson.
So that's why if you look at G, it is phrased the way that it is.
I got that. But I guess the question is, do we normally need to ask whether we should do TIDs or
So I was asked to include questions about incentives.
miss that? I mean,
That was, yeah, that was part of what we were talking about including in the survey was questions about incentives. So I included 2 questions about incentives, jobs and something that points towards it. We can certainly.
No, I'm just asking the group. I mean, TIDs are usually based upon not even a decision in here usually. Based on, look, we bring these in, we attract them, here's what's
Should
going to cost.
Franklin be more financially supportive of new businesses coming to Franklin?
Well, did we vote on the Karma Labs thing? Did the
Oh, wait,
people?
that's a way of asking a question. Would you, or should Franklin become more supportive of
If the answer is no, then what are we going to do?
Well,
The biggest
at least you
misconception.
have an opinion.
Well, I'm just simply saying it's a high likelihood you're going to get no. What are we going to do about that?
So
Thank you.
the way
It's on
that,
file.
Yeah, but
the
now,
way that
now
this
if we
is-
do offer them, and it's like, well, we all voted with 90% said no. That's my concern.
Yeah.
If you ask it, then you should do something with it. And I'm going to the negative side, which says no. I don't know. We can get our money's worth out of the last one. And the only point is, if we're not going to do something with it, don't ask. And if 90% says no, you shouldn't do it, then we can't offer TIDs.
This is not a binding referendum.
No.
We're just getting a testing the waters.
I understand that. I'm just simply saying, if somebody wanted to make some noise out of this, good.
They
Hey,
wanted to.
we did a review and you guys said no, and then what are you doing? So the question is, how is this going to make us better? That's all. If it's going to make us better, and you think that we're going to get, oh my gosh, let's go do it.
Just give us some guidelines as to what we focus on in our actions.
And I think it's in the last part of the sentence, both of the statements, through increased property taxes paid on the property that has been improved, or the business will create high-paying jobs in Franklin. Those are the 2 reasons why the city may offer financial incentive.
So, a leading question into that, like in between F and G, a question of the nature of should the city recruit businesses that will increase or to attract businesses to increase the tax base? Should the city attract businesses to increase the tax base of the city, lessening the tax burden of residents? Or it needs some wordsmithing, but the idea is, should we increase, and that actually has been an official policy passed by the council. And numbers were put to it, 70%, 30%, 70% being business and industry, 30% the population. Now, that's not the official policy anymore, I don't think, but the intention is,
guideline.
it's a guideline. But the intention is to attract businesses to, form the, majority of the tax base.
The only, and I have no horses.
No, I
do not
get it.
work
I'm just,
here.
and I just look at the questions to get people to understand that
Yep.
attracting businesses and industry lessens your tax burden.
That is what, if we put in that question or anything close to that, we're going to get pushback that the survey is leading that question. So
Okay.
I try really hard to not make leading questions. That one, once you have a question that's leading, it kind of colors the rest of it.
Okay.
So I would prefer not to.
No, that's fine.
Um,
I just looked at, one of the objectives you list there is if the business will create high-paying jobs.
Yep.
Well, high-paying jobs is one thing.
And what is the definition of high-paying jobs? And actually, the first version that I had of this was jobs paying over the median income for Milwaukee County, and I took that out because I think it's technical.
But the
And I
other,
think that we just need to leave it general. What is high-paying job? We're going to figure that out later.
right,
but
but
we
the,
are
but
just
the other
in
benefit
general-
is increased tax rates.
Yeah, yeah. Especially in Wisconsin with the levy limits. That's also a huge driver of economic development. But I want to just make sure that we can give people questions that they can.
Okay.
So it's.
Well, I'm just trying to answer
always
his
that,
question.
yep,
If I'm
yep.
Joe Sixpack and I see this,
Yep,
is this gonna cost me more money? Well, that's
yep.
to kind of get the idea across to them.
And that's,
All of it
so
does.
the question I had about the TIF is, was specifically the improve a business property that will be repaid in the future through increased property taxes paid on the property.
Right.
So it is very clearly that business is repaying it because the property, that's the one with the,
Is this paying more taxes on the property?
yeah, the property is improved, and so there's additional taxes out of that, because really that is the core of the business about.
Mhm.
Is it corporate welfare? Are we paying them? Well, the money will be coming back. It's an investment now for the increase in later. But this was as simple as I could. This was as simple
Can I
as
pull
I
it
could
out?
make
I
it.
think you need to run it past the mayor and the council,
Yep,
because if you don't and you tie my hands, I'm not real happy.
Yeah.
But I mean, we should ask them, if you guys want to leave it in, I think this, if I'm John Nelson, I'm saying, what are you doing to me, guys?
no, and I have no horse in this race, whatever you guys want to do with the survey, but if we want to ask about incentives, like, that is the best way that I have got to.
Oh, I think it
In a
did
way
a
that's
nice
useful.
job, masterful. No, I do, I think it's well done in that regard, I'm
You
not
should be
asking-
asking the question in the first question.
Well, I mean-
I think is the,
Are we gonna do it? The answer is yes. If not, we're not gonna be competitive. And they're gonna take this somewhere else, so it's not really a question, it's just
Okay.
to what level.
okay.
I mean, it's just,
Mhm.
you're in, into the
That's
game.
pretty much decided by the markets.
Yeah.
I mean, but we're allowed to
Yeah.
borrow, and a lot
Right.
of other factors go into that, so
Yeah.
it's not.
So
I'm saying.
So you're saying just to strike it because you actually don't want input, because you don't want a bunch of people saying no.
Just put
if you
down,
do it
at that point, I'd just say optional questions.
Well, let's,
Make that optional or
I am,
something.
what I'm
No, I
gonna
would
do
put it
with this
in
right
wrong.
now, I am gonna do a strike through, and John, you tell me,
You can get input. If those guys are okay with it, put it
Yeah.
on. I would,
you tell me whatever you want done with that.
And then number 7, is that, another way of phrasing that would be, should our, number F, should our commercial districts be expanded? Or our commercial,
That was another question that came up in the conversation, was expansion of the commercial district.
what constitutes our commercial?
We have like 5 commercial districts, and so
Or
that-
I'd
that's-
like to say, should our commercial districts be expanded?
So plural, then,
yeah, it'd be plural.
okay.
Right.
Okay,
People want to see more commercial districts, or,
Well, the ones that are there.
yeah.
Should the existing commercial districts.
Is that what that's well, yeah.
do you want me to put down existing commercial
Please,
districts?
yeah.
Let's do that.
I'd like to see something under question 3 or whichever number we're at here, in regards to a focus on making it possible for workers to access Franklin jobs. In other words, public transportation. Because we don't have.
Okay.
And we have many workers who don't live here, but have to get here. So I'm not sure, you can word it any way you think it works, but I'd like to get a feel for that.
So should public transportation to Franklin be expanded or something like that?
Well, I think we should couch it in getting workers
Yeah.
to Franklin to
Yeah,
access
no,
the jobs
yeah.
in Franklin. So,
Yeah.
So,
whoever.
yeah, and that also gets into the whole, so you have two problems right now with people working in community. One is
Exactly. That's the next. Very true. I will just, maybe I've said this before in a meeting, but in a tour at Karma Labs, I asked, how many of your workers live in Franklin? And he said, none.
Yeah.
None.
I work all over Wisconsin, and that is, I will tell you, it is, and it's not just, it's an everywhere problem right now. Workforce housing is a critical.
Some people don't want that.
Yep.
Well, we're asking
Yeah.
the degree to which you agree or disagree. So
Some
we'll get a
people-
feel for that.
Some people don't want more
Yep.
transportation, Franklin.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah.
But they also don't send their kids to work at Taco Bell either. We have to get other people to work at Taco Bell from outside the city.
So am I hearing then that we want a question, and I would specifically say, I would define it as workforce housing, because that's where part of all I do is talk about housing.
We were transportation. Now you're.
Yeah, I'm not going into housing.
Well, and that's because so I just want to make sure that we're just talking, the only question that we want is about transportation.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, housing.
That was where I thought you were going, and that was why I was trying to clarify, or if we were just adding one question, if we were adding a housing question as well, but it sounds like we're just adding.
Well, if we had if we had housing, more affordable housing, we wouldn't have to worry as much about the. We're already here.
Yeah. But it does not sound like there's much of an appetite to ask.
Right.
Okay. I will go through and I will do the. Is there anything else that you want?
Through 4, or where are you at?
Well, we can go through.
Well, like for instance, 5, I think you eat. So in the last 3 months, how often would you eat in restaurants?
Yeah.
In the following locations, and nothing is identified. So
That was because I didn't know the terminology. Like, is there specific areas? We can either do it 2 ways. So we can either identify it. What is more helpful? Is it identifying areas that people are more likely to frequent, or is it identifying types of restaurants, like categories?
I would think types.
Okay, then let's identify it. Then I will rephrase that question, and we'll make it different types of restaurants. So.
and then you would identify the types. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, this is, so surveys are, because I don't live here, surveys are kind of an iterative process, right? Because there are going to be some things that you guys have knowledge of, so that's why I'm here. That's why I wanted to come today, so we could have this conversation. It would have been really hard for John to try and give me this in any way for me to really be able to back something up. So, the next question then, which for you guys is 6.
So F is the public transportation.
Yep, access to public transportation. That is, however, slightly different question
Yeah. How is it different?
because we're asking about the future. How important are these things to the future of Franklin? So the question,
So the previous one is what?
the previous question was, how much do you agree or disagree with the following question? Would something like transportation be a future thing? It's going to be, because you're not going to suddenly, click your heels 3 times and make it appear. But I just wanted to point out that the questions are slightly different. One is how much do you agree or disagree? The other is how much is it important to the future of Franklin to have these? I know I'm nitpicking a little bit, but that's welcome to survey. That's the way that you phrase the questions.
No, very much so. So what is the difference you think you get in the way of a response?
So I think,
So you're going to phrase this, if we go to the Franklin should add more public transportation? Is that the question going to be?
so I'm going to need to wordsmith it a little bit, but it is probably going to be something like public transportation options are important to bring, for.
Well, the others all start off with, so Franklin should,
Yeah.
should.
So you're asking
So
me
this
to
would be
craft
Franklin's-
on the fly here. So, okay,
Well, I
so
mean-
Franklin should,
Should add more public transportation.
yeah, so Franklin should, yeah,
See more access.
Yes.
But now
seek
do you
more
want-
access,
you-
actually, like.
Access to jobs.
Yes, but that would
I mean,
probably be
that's
my
the key.
plus, yes, to add to it.
Mhm.
Should increase public transportation for
For-
jobs.
Access to jobs, yes.
I think you've got a high response on that one.
I would think.
Yeah.
Tell me
Especially
one
for
more
the
time,
business
like-
owners.
Well, yeah, yeah, but.
Mhm.
mhm.
Franklin should increase public transportation.
Or access.
Yes.
Okay.
In which case then, then the other one's fine then too. This one is more specific because then I go, oh, that's why. As opposed to I don't really need one on Lover. Okay, I think it's a nice.
And access to public transportation would be wanting to go downtown or wanting to go other places with public transportation.
I'm
from
thinking
an
from my-
internal out.
I don't know what. Again,
Yeah,
so
place.
yeah. I mean, I'm reading that from my location somewhere. I want more access to public transportation to get a low on mine there. I'm going to drive. However, I'm probably going to get pretty high from a standpoint of yes for labor. So I mean, they're two different things. So if we get more information, that's all. I don't want to ask the
It can be
same
in both
question.
places, is what you're saying.
What?
It can be in both places.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. I think they're. Richard, give me something else.
yeah. And sometimes it can help you understand how you need to communicate it. If people say no to public transportation, but yes for access to workers, then you know
Yeah.
you've got to tie those things
Yes.
together if you're going to do public
Yeah.
transportation.
Yeah. Okay, this could open a can of worms, but those could be helpful. So this is just open-ended where they can write
This
something
is
in?
open-ended, yeah. I do no more than 2 open-ended questions, just because the more you have, the longer it takes people to take a survey and they leave.
What kind of
Would you put
responses
that
have you
in
gotten?
The survey then?
That's why it's at, so it is before the demographic questions, but it is before we get all of the data that really is that quantitative where we've got the numbers deliberately, yeah.
So what do you get when you ask a number 7 or a number 8?
Trader Joe's, Cooper's Hawk.
Oh, so you do get some specifics.
Oh, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
Cool.
I want a specialty grocery store.
Yeah.
I want, absolutely.
I think they're nice. I was thinking maybe you get nothing. Okay, so then one vote doesn't reflect it, but if you got 10 Trader Joe's or whatever, whoa, interesting.
Yeah. And it is often interesting just to see what types of gaps people think that there is.
Well, it would be interesting. We could probably go approach one of them and say, hey, listen, guess what? People say they'd be interested in it. Are you interested? Okay. I'm good with that. All right. And then we've got your gender,
Yep.
age.
I guess I don't know why we need to know if you're binary. Non-binary.
So it all depends on the community, and some communities, they would like to have the question stated in exactly that way. Again, it's one of those things where it all depends on.
I guess I just male and female, or not, prefer not to answer.
I'm good with that.
We don't have to go into
Okay.
any other kind of preference things.
Okay, say A, B, taken out C.
Yep, and I've got it prefer not to answer.
Age is 17 for some reason, as opposed to 18 or 21.
That's just.
Oh, I'm sorry. It goes to the next page. Well, why just 17? Okay, I'm fine.
We can stop there if you wish.
I'm wondering what the heck.
We're just going to talk to teenagers.
What kind of
Yeah.
workforce? What kind of goofy?
Yes.
I'm
This is
sorry.
the future.
I know I read this before. Okay, got it. All right. Mm-hmm.
I do like to keep under a living situation, other place specified. A lot of times that's something like living with,
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
but especially now, again, with some of the housing stuff, that's can be very interesting information to have. Your guys' choice on whether or not we need race and ethnicity. If the results aren't, if it's not going to be useful data, then it's just one more question.
Well, okay, so we know what our population demographics are, right?
Mhm.
But I guess where it would be useful is let's say Asian or Black. Probably what percentage of our population is Black? Yes. If it's national, it would be 20%. But if the survey came back and it said it was 70%, that might be we've skewed. That would be the only value of this to me, which is this consistent with the rest of the world or of our understanding?
Yeah, so the reason why we might want to include race is to see if when we look at survey research, women always answer more than men. They just
Okay.
holds true. We tend to see in terms of age, we tend to see a little bit of a curve where we get more people to kind of towards the middle, and it makes sense because a lot of times they're the ones who are owning homes, stuff like that. People younger are renting. Sometimes people who are older, they may be renting, just not be as interested. Race, ethnicity, we tend to get less people who identify themselves as a way other than white or so sometimes it is helpful if you are trying to see how many, if you're really trying to make sure that you're getting a good cross-section of your community, then sometimes it is helpful to know, oh, look at this, our community is 10% African-American, and our survey results are only 5%.
Yes.
So we really should probably, how could we maybe try to get some better results? It is more, we're trying to kind of make sure that we are getting a comprehensive feedback from the community rather than anything.
Well,
If you are not concerned about that,
No, I guess I'm both concerned and non-concerned in the sense that that's why I was interested in it. Say, did we have a representative survey? And so, again, coming back to something Tim said earlier, which is, I know in this room we don't speak on behalf of everybody.
right?
So, is it helpful to say, well, guess what? And based on what you just said, chances are we're going to have 90-some-odd% of our people filling out are going to be white.
I would 100% agree with
So
that.
then this
That's just the way the
survey
survey
is just
research
going to
goes.
be, so that's
What
kind of a
would
caveat.
represent my district, and I'm sure it's turning other areas, Palestinian or
it's
what
Middle Eastern.
what ethnicity
Oh,
were?
it's not in there. Middle Eastern, North African should be in there.
I agree, Mike. There's,
Because my district is changing daily with more people coming in from the Middle East.
Mhm.
There's a big community that is
Yep.
What about India?
yeah. Indian, Pakistani.
So that technically falls under Asian.
Right.
But Middle Eastern, North African. I apologize. This. I took this out of something that was older. I do. That is now a. I include Middle Eastern, North African.
Middle East.
Yeah, and that is. I try to do.
You
keep
might
what I
even
do.
put down a couple examples on some of those. That would be
So I try to, as much as I can, to keep it consistent with census, just because.
Okay, Asian would be, like you said, that would normally fall under Asian.
Middle Eastern North African is now being recognized as a distinct
Okay,
group.
that one. But you said something else was Asian.
So when we're talking about, we're talking about under the umbrella of Asian, Pakistani, Indian. It's whether it's
Maybe that in
South-
parentheses right there would kind of highlight that or help people to be able to answer it.
Could we just say other? It's a race not listed.
Yes, so
I just-
that is no longer acceptable to put down, so we don't want that.
Okay.
Race is something that is very sensitive,
Mhm.
and so that's part of the reason why I try to go along with what census says, is because that way, if you're asked later why you did it this way, we're trying to be consistent with what census does, because it can be a pretty volatile subject. And I always put down there a race not listed, and people always, in this question in particular, people have the option. They do not have to.
I'm just interested in who's interested in our future. What kind of
Mm-hmm.
ethnicity there is going to fund and be interested in the future growth and future plan, whatever we're looking.
Yep.
So, okay, and I'm agreeing with you, Mike. So I actually think Indian ought to be in here.
In Pakistan.
Pakistani. Now, again, Muslim. Is that
That's a
Middle Eastern?
religion.
It is religion. But is it Middle Eastern? Should that be not?
No.
So
it's
that-
worldwide.
That is,
No, but should Middle Eastern? I'm with
people
you.
who
Middle
are
Eastern should
Indian
be.
identify themselves as Asian under a survey like this.
I'm sorry, they do.
Yes.
Who
They
does?
will. People who are Indian would identify themselves. If we're talking about people who are from India, not people who are Native American, they would identify themselves as Asian.
But I don't want them to. No, I would, if we're going to get down to it, why would we not want to know differences? Because you're saying you have what in your,
My district is changing
to what? From what to what?
a lot of different,
Yeah,
a lot of different Pakistani,
yeah.
Indian, middle,
The Muslim?
So two things. First of
not
all,
Muslim,
here,
I agree. Muslim
Arab-
was wrong.
Arab?
I'm wrong. Yeah.
a Palestinian versus Jewish, that kind of
Yeah.
Judaism. The Middle East kind of group.
The North Africa, Middle Eastern.
Yeah, Middle
Yeah.
Eastern
Be
North
part of
African.
that.
The more specific we get, the less likely people are going to. So we're going to start having problems with race. This is a question that people either skip or put down a race not listed anyway, because sometimes their question is, why do you need to know in an economic development survey what my race is? So
Who is developing in Franklin?
but
Well,
what I
that's
would
right,
say
it
though is
says,
that the
yeah.
more specific we get, we are going to harm our response. And that may be, if the more specific we get, that may be a question where people leave altogether.
Well, we don't.
If I
again,
was
mean,
from
you know,
Palestine, where would I check myself off as?
I don't know.
Wherever you want.
Well, right under the name of Hawaiian or Pacific Islander.
There's a lot of, I'm looking at the council meetings and who's been coming and making statements. And it's a lot of people from Palestine. So where would they be?
That's the North
That would be
African
Middle
and
Eastern,
Middle
North
Eastern.
Okay,
Yes.
well, as long as they,
Okay, that's nice on surveys, but do they call themselves North Africans?
Middle Eastern.
Middle Eastern.
Oh, I guess that'd be fine, a Middle Eastern, but I
Okay,
don't think
so-
they consider themselves North African.
It's a category. The category is Middle Eastern / North African. It is a combined category of Middle Eastern / North African.
Wow.
That is a standard category. I have no idea the reasoning behind it. Again, what I try to do is I try to stick with normally used categories because they are commonly accepted. People know because that's what people are using. So because this
So,
can
but
be
I would wish
touchy.
when you said they know. I don't think people know. Who's a North African?
Somebody from Egypt, somebody from
Egyptian.
Libya.
Morocco.
Okay, you guys get that, but do you think just a normal survey people do? No, we're saying that the best communication is at the sixth grade level. Best communication is at the sixth grade level. If you
Get
want
it,
to
but
communicate.
if you came from Egypt, I would think you know
You
come
know
from
that.
North Africa.
The rest of
Okay.
us don't really need to know.
We wouldn't, but the person that lived there does.
They
Yes,
know where they
they
came
would
from.
answer.
And people do have the
Yeah, weird.
option to choose more than one. So if you have a person who is of more than one race,
Mixed,
they
yeah.
can choose more than one.
The way this is, you're gonna add one category.
Yes, that is correct. And I already have on my list, I've already added
And what
one
is, what
category.
specifically is that?
Middle Eastern / North Africa. Yes.
I have a question about the American Indian or Alaska Native. Could it just say Native American? Why do we have to, separate out?
So
Alaska?
again, what I tend to use with this, and I can double check because I have not.
It's the same thing would be true under E, Native Hawaiian. I'm not sure.
So,
They're U.S.
well, yeah, so now we're getting into a whole thing because race is actually a construct thing. And it really has to do with how people identify themselves, how they feel like they're identified by people. And so it's a
So here's the question, I'll come back, how does this help us? I mean, if it's all blended in together as mush, is it helpful? And I'm gonna come back to your Hispanic Latino. I work with a company called Breeze Dairy. They have dairy farms, and all their workers are Hispanic. Oh, great. You all speak Spanish? No, Steve, you don't get it. We're from. And they listed 12 different countries, and they
Yep.
all think differently, and they're not the same. And so if you
Absolutely.
lump them together, then you clearly don't get it.
absolutely. But what we are trying to do in this case is we are trying to give people, first of all, the opportunity to self-identify
Yeah.
under a broad category. They do have the option to not answer the question or to say a race or ethnicity.
I'm Dominican Republic. I'm from Mexico. I'm from Costa Rica. They're not the same.
I 100% understand. I understand 100% what you are saying, but so there was a survey that I saw recently where they, for whatever reason, wasn't involved in developing the survey, decided that they wanted to list the different ethnicities under 8.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's probably 50 of them, and they miss some. Because anytime that you start
gotcha.
trying to be very specific, you're going to miss. Africans are not all the same. There's huge cultural and other differences. So,
Right, the Bahamians are not the same as the whatever.
100%.
So I guess I'm throwing out, do we need it? If we're not going to get it right, what do we need it for?
So other than for self-identification, really,
The only reason why it might be helpful is if we are trying to figure out how well we are penetrating the and we want to use this as a way to figure out if we are hearing. That was why I put that caveat on that. I don't know that we need this question for an economic development survey. If you're talking about, I was doing this on behalf of the city of Franklin, I would be arguing that we, because then you are asking about more general questions. And I would also, quite honestly, I would expect survey, I would hope that we would be able to get higher survey responses. I would hope that we are going to get great response rates from people of all different backgrounds.
Yeah.
But I've been doing this long enough to know that it is unlikely people of, or the people who are least likely to be surveyed, people who are young, people who are born in countries, people who are English first language. And so what we are talking about right now is two of those categories. Is people who English is not their first language, potentially, and also they were born.
Okay, so I'm opting at the moment saying, unless you're going to get down to that finite, I'd say
just forget it.
I would.
It's not worth it for not the economic development.
Okay.
No, that's just you and I so far. What do you think, Barb?
Well, I think this is a question that I think I see in every single survey I answer,
I know.
and I don't mind it. Of course,
Of course, you speak
But is it
for, yeah,
necessary?
right.
is
Yeah.
it necessary? Well,
For what we're
as
doing.
Corey said, you know, for looking for from the economic development viewpoint, we want to make sure that we're finding out who basically our audience.
But you're not. I'm saying you're blending together too many of them to really understand what the Hispanics are. We're not even breaking it down into who the Asians are
Well,
or the Middle Easterners. It's each of those groups is different, and I think this is just so. I would
just like every white
scratch it.
group is different because there are Italians and Germans
Right,
and Polish and whatever. We're not going to go that route. So I think some broad categories should be fine.
No,
I
I
think
vote
it's-
scratch it.
What do you think?
I don't think it's necessary. There's no real.
It doesn't add value.
She already said, I mean, she's the expert. She does this all the time. So at the end of the day, she's asking for penetration. I can tell you in my subdivision, half of it, Indian, Pakistani / Middle. We have never, subdivisions been around for, have ever gotten enough people to come to an answer. Because a lot of those people, and this is, I'm not saying this disparaging, but a lot of the people don't participate or take surveys, or because in part, sad to say, they're afraid
Yeah.
of repercussion of rocking the boat, you name it. Okay,
We're the government
Don't-
and we're here to help. Does not always.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't roll real well there.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, so I feel bad because they're not part of the process. So I'm just, there's a part of me going,
So
who cares?
let me back out of this a little bit. Let me explain. Let me explain this 2 different ways. I was doing this on behalf of the city of Franklin, and I really wanted to hear from people from a variety of different backgrounds and perspectives. I would actually request that either we go through, we do a dedicated focus group, or what I normally do is I ask for focus groups. I ask for 2 focus groups. I ask for 1 focus group comprised solely of nonprofits, because a lot of times nonprofits wind up being able to serve people who are coming in from different perspectives and different backgrounds. And I also ask to speak to communities of faith leaders, because often what happens is people who are coming from other places will wind up going and they will wind up locating around a faith community. So if I'm able to get in one of those 2 places, that's how I am able to really understand the needs of some of those communities that may be less likely to trust government. So if I was doing this on behalf of the city of Franklin and we were going to do focus groups, I always ask for 6 focus groups. Those are 2 distinct focus groups for that reason, for exactly the reasons that we're talking about. I don't know that we're going to get a lot of data out of this, but at the same time, it is standard to go ahead and to ask. I want to give you guys the option. I have no horse in it, but I want you guys to start kind of understanding.
I say we just drop it. It's not worth it.
There are a good number of entrepreneurs who are from Eastern background or Hispanic. Maybe they would appreciate being asked about economic development, because they are the entrepreneurs.
It's not like we're not giving them everybody's welcome to fill it out.
Right.
True. Yeah.
It's
To
not,
that point, though, we're also going to do focus groups, correct? We could specifically try to make sure that we target in our focus groups people who come from a variety of different backgrounds, because we can try and make sure that we are incorporating different perspectives in that way. Because we want to make sure that we understand all of Franklin, right? But sometimes surveys are just not the best way to do it, because
Well, and I think as you said earlier, if I get to this point and I'm offended, I stop.
Mhm.
Take
You
it
just
out,
don't
we'll
answer
get better participation.
Or just don't answer.
Or they'll skip it, or they'll skip it.
Yeah.
Or they'll skip it, yep.
Mhm.
So what I feel like I am getting is direction to take it out.
Yes.
Okay, it is gone. Goodbye. How long have you lived in Franklin? It is just helpful to know who it is that we're talking to, if they're relatively newer, if they've been here for a while. Do you have children 17 or under in your household? Don't necessarily need it, but it can be helpful from an economic development standpoint, as well as do you have any members of the household? Yeah, just
How you say helpful? How?
so if you know that you are getting a lot of people who are responding, who are responding to the survey, who are 17 or children 17 or under, and we are hearing that a lot of family friendly. But we know then that we have got a lot of people then who responded who are parents, and that's probably part of what is driving that. Where at the same time, so I'm going to give you an example. I'm working with a teacher right now, which I'm not going to name, but one of the concerns that came out in focus survey information that there were too many of their establishments, restaurants had focused on alcohol, wineries, breweries, things like that, and they really wanted that were more family. That leads you then to the question of who's responding to the survey. Is it just parents because it's not family friendly? Or is this really something the community at large is saying, we want to have more restaurants that are not necessarily alcohol focused? That would be the reason why
I'm okay. I'm just curious what you might learn.
that's you asked the question. I can give you.
No.
I can give you.
And I
lots of
assume
anecdotes,
65 and above is also that same sort of.
Yep.
Yep.
It just helps you to know. It gives you just a little bit of information. I will tell you, if I had to choose between one or the other, I would probably choose the children
17.
over
Yeah.
the 65 and older. But I think that again, both of them are helpful. And if you know that a lot of people, a lot of the people who responded are 65 older, it may help them to understand a little more. The person who responded.
Yeah.
It's
They don't need grade schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I said, if I did chuck one of them, it would be the 65 or not because that's not an important demographic, but just for an economic development survey. But I would.
Well, it makes it more interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
That's what I got.
Okay.
So I have then got some tweaks to make. I will go ahead and turn this around to you, John.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank
This
you.
is why I wanted to do this in person.
It's helpful.
All right.
That's so nice for you to say that. I'm thinking, I'll bet she wishes she was remote. And it's like, oh,
No.
oh, no, I can't
Oh,
hear you.
it's much faster this way for you.
Well, and I have a better understanding of when I'm going through and modifying the questions. Now I understand what it is that you are looking for, and it helps me make sure that I am capturing that information.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. So that's in our strategic planning? Yes? That's our A? All right. Do we have B? Current prospects?
That would be moved to closed session.
Yep, and I can leave.
Yep.
Thank you once again.
I make a motion to move to closed session.
Second? All in favor?
All right.
And I am just going to step out. I want to make sure I'm saving this, so I'm not lurking. I just want to make sure before I leave
We have
that
faith in you.
I have it saved. Okay.
All right. Motion
And if
passed.
you just shut the door,
Yes, I would be happy to
Yeah.
do that. Yep, I'm happy to do that.
thank you.
Made the second.
Yes.
And we did the all in favor?
All in favor? We did. And they all, yeah, there was no objections.
It is 5:35.
One question about the invoice. Is this the last invoice?
I will have to check
Probably
and
not.
see. I don't think so. I think there would be like 4.
Okay.
And so I would ask the commission's indulgence to amend the agenda because somehow or another I did not include invoices on it, which I normally do, and we do have an invoice. from CP2 Consulting for $4,950, and it's part of just a payment on the approved amount that we had for them, which is a little over $20,000. A little under $20,000.
Do we have to take this to a motion or no?
This would need a motion.
All right, can I have a motion? Second?
Second.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Approved.
Very good. Thank you.
Good. Do I need to sign something? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, that seems to take us to the end of the path.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, we do want to say though again, the next meeting is September 20th, 3 o'clock. This work for everybody?
Yep,
All right.
I like 3 o'clock.
All right. Now let's do a motion. Adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We're adjourned. Thank you all.